right, guys. Here we are. Bittersweet day. More so sweet. Unfortunately, I'm here without my co-host, Darren Lauren. We've had a great run because technically, this is the special edition. This is the announcement edition. This isn't the last show was the last show. This is like the last show, comma, announcement. With that being said, I'm just going to get out of the way. I'm here with special guest, longtime friend, new-time boss, Jeff Dickerson. So everybody's been on Twitter asking me, what are you doing? Wearing me out. Weeks now. Months at this point. Well, I'm here to tell you today, Monday, you're listening to it at 7 o'clock, that I'll be driving the number 7 Spire Motorsports Chevrolet Camaro for Jeff Dickerson and Spire Motorsports and TJ Pusher and those guys over there. We have a graphic. There it is, guys. What do you think?
Yeah, it's finally here.
It's here. It's been here for like 7 weeks.
Yeah, like we feel like we're letting the secret out of the out of the bag.
Finally. I don't know if this is the worst kept secret, but here we are.
Yep.
Gives me a warm, tickling feeling, to be honest with you.
Me too, buddy.
I don't know why. Maybe it's the clutch coffee this morning, and you've got every single clean juice they had in the freezer this morning.
That's right.
What you got there?
I've got the old sweet greens and the yellow, chaser.
You got to feel good. I mean, you got to get the detox of that cranberry sauce and turkey out of your system.
Right. This is day 1 and last day of the post-Thanksgiving diet.
I ate about 10 pounds of food. So, hey, back to racing. Here we are. We got a bunch of stuff to talk about here because I think our fans and our loyal supporters and listeners of Sunday Money, they've been wearing me out, wanting to know where we're going. And there's been a lot of rumors flying around. At one point, I was driving for the 37. One point this, one point that. Everybody makes up a bunch of rumors. From pretty much our first meeting, this was the deal.
Yeah.
I don't know. What was that? 2.5 months ago?
Yeah. It was
And it's not so much, I mean, I guess I'm like Spire Motorsports employee, I don't know, less than 5 probably.
Right.
I mean, how many Spire Motorsports employees do you have?
You were probably the first one.
001.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. So
you got a parking spot.
Do I get an office? I was going to ask you that later in the show, but do I get an office?
Yeah, until we get 6 more employees, I bet.
All right, I could keep a seat warm. So I want to talk about like how kind of our relationship got here.
Yeah.
Because it wasn't like you own a race team and I drive race cars and it's like, okay, you got an open seat. Let's do something.
Yeah.
So you've been in the sport for almost as long as I've been alive. You're sitting here with glasses with eyeglass chains wrapped around them like you're my grandfather.
Yeah.
But we've just been friends, chopped it up in the garage. You've had your hand in. You spotted for Jeff Gordon. You've had your hand in with Kyle Busch, taking him from Hendrick to Gibbs. You've been in the mix, like you talked about on Dale Jr. Download. You've had your hand. Spire Entertainment has had their hand in sponsor dealings, driver dealings for years now, and you finally made the jump to the dark side, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
A couple years ago, you said, "Hey, why don't we spent years building everybody else's brand? Why don't we start getting a little skin in the game?"
Yeah.
What was the thought behind that?
Well, I mean, it's we had kind of talked about you're a driver, so maybe it's a little bit easier to say this to you, right? It's
you
like
can say anything to me, man. I don't have feelings.
We'd just been through everything, we've had tons of successes, and it felt like everything just kind of, for every good day, it's a bad day. It's hard to have a perfect day in driver management because it's like, for one guy that's winning races, another guy just ran 43rd. Oh yeah. So it's just hard to have a perfect day. And I think TJ and I had just kind of got to a point through that summer where we're like, man, let's just try to maybe figure out something different. Now, you didn't know what it was, but we were like, hey, let's try to control our own destiny a little bit. And Chip Ganassi, who's like a dad and a mentor, he had said years and years and years ago, he said, hey, you should own your properties. Own your properties. And so I mean, the story with the 78's been told a few different ways, but that's essentially we feel like it chose us. as much as
Fate,
much as we chose that.
Fate chose you.
Yeah.
So you got the 78 charter, right? And you run it for a couple years. You win Daytona with Justin Haley last year. You laugh, but hey,
it's a win.
There was 39 other son bitches in that race that didn't win.
That's right.
And you guys did.
That's right.
But it's still at that point in time, you're kind of like, from the outside looking in from a fan perspective, I knew the deal from inside the sport. From the fans were like, 77's a quote-unquote field filler.
Yeah.
Right? Well, I knew, talking to you, talking to TJ, the vision and like, there's nothing that you guys have your hand on, whether it's a minor league hockey team or a sponsor relation that's not necessarily Aspire Motorsports or even a driver's career that hasn't had positive progression. There's not one. So I knew when you hear the rumblings about the 95 getting sold and this and that, and when it was official that you guys had got it, I'm like, these some bitches are up to something.
Mm-hmm.
So that leads me, and you actually said it in our first meeting, it was like, okay.
So there was only the first text.
There was only one person that sent me a text that day.
That's right.
Who was that?
You.
What'd I say?
Said, where do I bolt my seats? And where do I bring my seats?
Yeah, I said, where do I bring my seats? That was in what, June maybe? And you asked, was it how serious was it? I said, well, probably at the time it was like, I don't know, 80-20 joking. But there was still a little bit of seriousness because I knew that I guess
we had talked about this as a joke for years.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Well, it was always been, hey, when you get to a point when we want to go racing, you know where I'm at.
Mm-hmm.
I'm right here on Sunday Money talking about driving your car. So, like, it's funny how stuff comes around full circle. But before we get into like racing stuff, there's only 3 people. There's another little Easter egg for you guys that are listening. Everybody knows now about the Rick Hendrick letter, right? Apparently didn't hit home quite enough because there's not a 48 on that board, but there's a 7. There's only 3 people that knew about that letter before I handed it to Rick. My wife, Jimmy Johnson, and you, because I called you. I mean, there is probably less than a handful of people that know Rick on a personal level like you do. So I called Jeff, and I was like, is this a dumb idea? What did you think about? Like, what did you think when because I didn't know what the hell I was doing. I was just trying to rekindle any sort of remembrance of English class in high school I could conjure up.
Yeah.
So, like, what is the perception that you had when I was doing that?
No, look, it you talked about a warm fuzzy feeling. It feels like great to finally like say some of these things, out loud. But Corey, you've always talk about that East class that you came up with Chase and with Kyle and with and Moffitt was in
Blaney
there, right?
and
Blaine. Yeah, I mean, that was like a group. And I think, as you know, in our conversations, I always feel like you've kind of been overlooked a little bit, right? And you were winning races. You were as good as those guys, and I still feel like you are, right? And you just need an opportunity. So when you called about this is probably in January, and said, "Hey, do I even have a shot at this?" Right? It was just like, "Hey, you're gonna have to do something that's different than just another guy having." And as an agent, right? I think I know where we sit in these things, right? And it's just like, yeah, agents come to you and be like, "Hey, man, it's about the relationships," and yeah, I've got a good relationship, but it's not. They want to hear from you, right? And it's not just coming up being like, "Hey, we all heard about the Carl Edwards, we used to walk around with business cards." Yeah. And so there was some of the best things in my life have come from a handwritten letter. And so
it's a lost art.
It's a lost art. And so I just I believe in you. I believed in you. And if people would take notice with what you're doing, I always just thought that would be something that would help you stand out. Now, obviously, there's a 7 up there, and not a
48,
and not a 48. But I didn't think that the 48 was bigger than you, right? Or that you weren't capable of doing that. And so,
Well, for the record, Kyle Larson was the right guy for the job. I mean, he fits the mold. And by the way, he's a damn gasser. Sure. 45th win of the year the other night. So congrats to him. He's having an unbelievable season. It's going to be great just for the sport to have him back. So back to our deal. It's essentially, and I prefaced it with it'll be a new number. It'll be a new team. You've had, quote unquote, a team the last 2 years with the 77, but that's going to be a brand new team as well.
Yep.
I mean, you bought the 95 and the assets outright. You bought the shop, which, another Easter egg, guys. Alan Kowicki raced out of the shop over there by the racetrack in Concord, number 7, which Paul Andrews swears up and down that it's haunted. We'll talk about that possibly later because I'm not spending the night at the shop, even if you ask me. But we got a haunted shop, and we got 2 brand new teams. What is the plan? Tell the listeners that expect that might view this move as a downward move. There's not been one inkling of the process, even when I was the first employee to sign up with not a car, not a 9/16 wrench to Spire Motorsports' name.
Yeah.
You didn't sell me, but I was sold because I was sold on the people and the vision. And that's where we're at. There are some personnel behind the curtain right now that we're not allowed to say that are working on things that when people do know, they're going to be like, holy shit, like these guys are actually trying to go race.
Yeah, that's right.
So we've got the 7, which is essentially a brand new team, 95, but there'll be nothing resembling LFR whatsoever. It's just that charter and the assets and whatever. And the 77. What is the plan with some cars, some engines, some people? And I mean, it's a multi-year deal for us. So you keep saying we're married. We're married.
Yeah, we're married.
We're pulling the rope.
Yeah.
We're on the ship rowing that son of a bitch. So that's what I'm excited about. Hang on before we get into that. So we had 2 meetings before. We had one meeting like, okay, I think like this is the right match. And then the second meeting, it took, I don't know, half an hour. And I walked in and there's a whiteboard with like, if I even brushed shoulders with somebody and asked somebody like what they were doing, what they had going on, it was on the board. Like y'all knew everything I had going on. Xfinity stuff, the 4 or 5 cup options. And I was like, I looked at it because at this point in time, I already talked to the wife and I already slept on it and prayed over it a couple of days. And I'm like, I just feel like this is right. That's why I'm having another meeting. So I looked at the board. I'm like, there's no sense talking about those options. Like, I don't want to, if any of those guys called me, it just doesn't make me excited as much as there might be some short-term validation with a little bit more money, a little bit faster cars in the short term, but the long-term payoff is going to be way better on the racetrack competitively, and just having a stake in the sweat equity of building something from the studs is really what I'm excited about.
Well, look, I think in that second meeting, you're talking about that. Like, look, on the 2 meetings, the first meeting you came in, and I think it was quickly apparent to everybody in the room, either fortunately or unfortunately, you look at you and you're like, oh man, he's one of us. You know what I mean? Like you had captured the room with your, just want to, right? And like everything I had known about you, you know,
that's the have to.
The have to, the want to.
What's that movie? Is it a little minor league maybe? I don't know. The have to. Anyway.
Yeah. So, you know, I mean, that's where it was like, you know, I had said it, you know, yesterday to a mutual friend of ours that I just said, you know, I think Corey has something where, yeah, I think he wants to play for the Yankees, but he might get just as much satisfaction beating the Yankees. You know?
Oh yeah.
And so that kind of dovetails into that second meeting where essentially we had your options on a whiteboard, and I think we talked to you like, I mean, you were one of our clients, not like you were about to drive our race car. We're just like, hey,
what do you want to do?
What do you want to do? Here's your options. And I think we talked about it more, not, you know, because I think with us, look, we don't believe all the bullshit that comes out of our mouth, right? So it's like, hey, it was something to talk to you and be like, hey, these are good options, or these could be good options, and kind of have an adult, you know, conversation where it wasn't just, you know, I think sometimes, you know, you've been in plenty of meetings with owners and so forth where they're just like, okay, man, and here's the deal.
Yeah,
and we're gonna, it's gonna be this.
Blue skies and green pastures.
That's right. It's easy, man. And so I think we've just been through enough of those where you're just like, how about we have like a real conversation about you and your career and what do you want to do?
Yeah.
And look, I mean, that's where it kind of where the rubber met the road. I mean,
and then about 20 minutes in, he goes, Jeff's sitting there and like, he's got all these guys calling him. I wouldn't believe what kind of cars or equipment we were getting if it wasn't for his phone beeping every 30 seconds with some GM of a big team calling him. That's the only reason why I kind of believed them, like what we had working on. It's like either he changed the number,
it's just
the names of these guys, and he's having his wife calling him like from a bunch of different numbers.
Yeah, it was Caitlin in the other room.
Right? Yeah, she's like, "Hey, make sure you call me from this number."
At 7:03, I need this one. At 7:08, I need this one. Yeah.
Yeah, that would be that. That's about what it was. I'm like, this sucker is working.
Yeah.
And then you're just like, all right, we got to do a deal. And you took a phone call and left. And I was like, what? That's it? Because I've never really been a part of something that was like, boom, this is what we're doing. Check it off the list. And I'm like, yes.
Yeah.
That was like, I don't know, 3 months ago.
No, for sure. So, yeah, I mean, so when you're talking about like, like obviously, I mean, I don't think it's any secret to the industry and so forth, but, we're going to get our cars from Ganassi and from Hendrick, and we're going to have some Hendrick engines in there. And, and look, and you've heard me say it a million ways. It's like, we wouldn't be here. I mean, we wouldn't be here without those guys. But we wouldn't, I wouldn't be here without those guys. I mean, from what Mr. Hendrick and have Chip, even talking about before this deal or before anything. I mean, it's just like what those guys have done, for me on a personal basis and a personal level and a professional, level. We're proud to be part of that family. Look, I mean, they've always been like, hey, you guys got to find your way, right? And I think that's what obviously what we're going to be doing here. But it's we wouldn't be here without them. I mean, it's
so how do you view? Obviously, the next gen car had a major proponent in your decision to pull trigger on it.
It was the base. It's the basis.
The reason,
yeah.
Because as it is right now, there is no bottom to the pit of what you can spend to make speed on these cup cars.
Mm-hmm.
So with the next gen car coming in, obviously it was prolonged from 21 to 22, which from what I understand, there was a vote on that, right? They were with the COVID and everything. They were like, hey, we got to push this thing back.
I don't remember actually a Senate hearing, but I as we've all talked about, I think what those guys do is you feel like you have a voice.
Yeah.
And look, we were our fork in the road was back there. If they said, hey, we're going Gen 7 in 21, then I guess what if they said lawnmowers, we'd be doing lawnmowers, right? So but what it did allow us to do is do a team next year. Right, and kind of run out some existing inventories, right, and like you said, we're this is our third year, but look, we had a great relationship with Jay Robinson, and we learned a ton from Jay. Like look, I feel like I'm the luckiest guy in the world, and I've said that to you before. Well, you've argued with me that you might be, but. Or maybe you said unlucky. I wasn't listening. But
no, I would say lucky.
Yeah, we're both lucky.
I've made it way farther in this sport than I thought I was going to.
For sure. And I just feel like, me and TJ have kind of been at the intersection of being able to learn from, we just said Chip Ganassi and Rick Hendrick. Well, like Jay Robinson's one of the most interesting, smart men that I've ever, met in my life.
Yeah.
And so to take what we've learned over here and what we've learned over here and now start applying that. I mean, I think it's almost like going to, college and graduating. So, but with Gen 7 and or next gen and where it's going, that was the bet for us. There's no other way through it. And I come from the IndyCar stuff, right? And so I've kind of seen, there's almost like in the IndyCar series, you can spend as much as you want, but once you get to a certain point, you're just spending money to spend it. It's not like you're going any faster.
Yep.
And the way they have the model, and obviously with with almost like a common car, but it's what you do with it. We thought that would work for us.
Clutch Coffee Bar in Mooresville, North Carolina is redefining the drive-thru coffee game in Race City, USA. The Clutch experience is fast, friendly, and delicious. Clutch Coffee Bar offers signature lattes and mochas, custom-flavored infused energy drinks, smoothies, and more. You can also order our signature Clutch Coffee beans online and have them shipped directly to you. Go to clutchcoffeebar.com or visit our 2 locations in Mooresville, 356 Williamson Road and 154 West Plaza Drive. Power up today with Clutch Coffee Bar.
And
so where did it come in where what you were doing with the 77, did the point in time which you were like, oh, hell, now we got to go build 2 race teams of parts and equipment that's going to be obsolete here in 14 months. Was that the point when you bought the 95 Charter? It was like, okay, now we have to run not one but two cars and figure out where to get all the stuff from.
Yes and no. As you know now, it's my partner TJ. His mind's going all 24/7. He's got ideas. So this is, the 95 was always, when we got one, we knew we were gonna have to get to two either way, right?
Yeah.
And when you get two, you're trying to get to three, right? And just so when, yeah, I mean, so our company who's led by Bill Anthony and Emma Setzer, who we couldn't do anything without. Yeah, I mean, you go in there and you say, hey, you want to hear something?
This idea,
yeah, you want to hear something cool? We're going to buy another car, buy another team.
The bank already signed off on it downstairs.
It's cool. We're in. Where do we sign up? And I mean, it's a tough conversation. We're just like, no, actually, these cars are could be coffee tables in a year, and there's nothing. And I've said this a couple times in public where it's just like you're not walking into your accountant's office and saying, hey, this is a great idea, right? Because the benefits of this aren't going to be reaped until 22, 23, 24. And it's not because necessarily the new car, it's because you're learning how to run a race team.
Yeah.
Right. And you're trying to run a 2-car team with all the different personalities. How, it's hard. And so we're going to make mistakes. And I think, again, with you, something that I've been saying internally is like, we want to know we want people around us that know the difference between what's a mistake that just happens and what's a first year team mistake, because there's a difference, right?
Yep.
You need people and you need racers, and obviously with your lineage and everything you've had to do with your own hands, you're a guy that I think can come in and be like, yeah, man, that was totally stupid, or hey, we just didn't know.
Yeah.
Right. And there's a difference. There
is a difference. And I think with people we're getting in, I think we're up to like 4 employees right now.
Oh, we're doing it. We have a big week.
Yeah. I mean, I think that Daytona's 11 weeks away and we have 4 people. I mean, I can get in there and I'll start building some stuff. I probably will be.
Yeah, you might have to. Yeah.
They didn't specify that part of the deal. I'm the interior / seat mechanic / race car driver. But hey, I'm good with that. I've been that my whole life. What I love the most about it, to be honest, is the number. I mean, there's a lot of other things like a lot of just things that make your toes warm and fuzzy, but the number 7, my favorite number, TJ's favorite number, from what I understand too, right?
Well, yeah. I mean, we had a sentimental reason also, but yeah.
Okay. Can the sentimental reason be on the record?
Sure.
Okay.
Well, yeah. I mean, it's
for me. Okay.
For both, yeah.
For Tommy. So. Tommy Baldwin, friend of the sport, still around, right? His old man ran 7NY modified forever, and Tommy's been running that. He allowed us to run the 7, so it's a little bit of a nod to Tommy to continue that legacy on into the Cup Series and build a brand around that. But my grandfather, Don LaJoy, Danbury Race Arena 7-time track champion, he was 7'11". My old man's number was 1707 in the old Busch North Series. He raced the 7 in the Busch Series for when he was the Kleenex car. So, and then my first go-kart number ever, I'm going to try to pull that go-kart picture up between now and when we put this thing out at 7 o'clock tonight, but was 7. It was like this red go-kart with a mailbox number like you go buy at Home Depot with the 7. Yeah. Quick story on that. We went to Woodleaf, was my first career, like actual race against kids my age. It used to just be go-kart track out behind Dad's shop with like Fedewa and Harvick and those guys beating me up. I was a little 6-year-old kid. We go to Woodleaf. Woodleaf is like redneck backwoods go-kart track, right?
Not shocked at all.
Yeah. So
water tower right over here.
Yes, there's a water tower. They're right next door. Yeah. If you get a little tight in 1 and 2, you're probably gonna knock the water tower down. That's why Mom didn't let me go back. So I was in purple plates, right? For some reason, I was light years ahead of faster than. Like, I went from the back, got spun out, went to the lead, back and forth, like 4 times. Ended up winning the race. There was, that little South Park meme with everybody with the pitchforks and the flamethrowers out. Like, that was outside the tech shed for a 6-year-old go-kart race. Well, the old man pops the purple plate off.
Was Ricky Brooks the tech guy there or something?
No, it might have been his brother, Bobby. But they pop the carburetor off, and the purple plate was essentially just the frame of it. I mean, Dad took a unibit to that sucker and hogged it out. No different than anybody else's dad did back in the day, right? So we got our one and done wood leaf experience. We got run out of there. So I guess that was my number 7. But then we go
You can't let go of it.
I remember. I think I got the trophy still, actually. I think I just like hid it underneath the seat. That way they couldn't take it away from us. But my K&N number that we had a lot of success with was 07. ARCA number we ran was 17. So the 7 has a lot of sentimental value to me, and it's just a cool number. I like single digits. So a lot of cool branding things we're going to be able to do around that.
Mm-hmm.
And then what else we got?
On the 7?
Yeah.
So one of our, and you knew him, one of our favorite clients ever, and just an all-around good dude, was Brian Clausen.
Yep.
And he ran the 7, sprint car. And so it was his number growing up,
That's cool.
and so there's lots of, there's lots of tugs on it.
On the heartstrings.
It'd be nice to, we might have a 7 BC, a 7 NY, 7 one leaf special.
Wood leaf. We can do
on the side of that thing.
Yeah, we can do a Don LaJoy throwback for Darlington maybe. Who knows? There's so much cool stuff we're going to do. We got a lot of partners excited. Now that we're releasing this thing, now we can actually have conversations without not worrying about something getting out. So obviously Sluder Systems will be coming back. Been more or less a partner of mine that's been keeping me around the sport for years. If it wasn't for those guys, I'd probably be welding seats. Not probably, I would be. Built Bar, those guys are coming back. I know you guys have some people that you guys are talking to. Mm-hmm. So a lot of fun stuff we're putting together, a lot of cool paint schemes that are coming along, and it's going to be a hell of a ride. But I'd be remiss if I didn't mention our sponsors of the show, because if this is the last Sunday Money, I will miss it. And I will miss Daryl being a Daryl Downer as much as it added to the show, and Lauren Fox, and our producer, Alexa, and Chris Shorts, and everybody here at MRN has probably regretfully at times allowed me to have this show to ramble on about my racing adventures. It's been a blast. Thank you for everybody who's tuned in. It's actually grown into something that I'd expect it to. So thanks for listening in on our announcement special. Jeff, thanks for carving out a little bit of time this morning to come BS with us and let our fans know.
Really an honor.
Don't sleep on us next year, guys. We didn't talk too much about competition stuff because you know why? We're going to leave it up because we can talk about it all day till the cows come home, but when you hit the track at Daytona, you kind of see what you got.
Hey, everybody talks all the time.
So we're about that action,
like
Marshawn Lynch. So about the West Coast swing is kind of when you know, is whether you still got a little bit of air left in your balloon or you got a little pumping up to do. So
we're gonna have to grow it. You know what I mean? It's not gonna be easy. We know it's not gonna just come to us.
You've been in sport for a hell of a long time, so this is not necessarily our deal related, but when there was a pretty prominent young guy, John Hunter Nemechek, we'll just name him, went to the Truck Series. That was always my decision. That still is always my decision between September and November every year. It's like, do you continue to gain experience on Sunday, or do you take your partners, move down a rung or two, and try to win races and build the brand? Now, I could preface it with everybody's hand of cards is different, right? Your partners want different things out of the return and all that, so that all plays into it. But bear with me here. I got an analogy because the people who listen to the show love my analogies. When you're a little kid, right, the goal is to always make it to the show. And I'm going to pull a baseball analogy here, so bear with me, guys. When you get to the show, racing NASCAR is unlike baseball, in which the bat size that you use is different, right? If you're driving a Gibbs car, you're swinging a telephone pole on down to a broomstick at the end of the pack, right? The goal is to hit a home run or get on base and score a run. That hasn't changed, but the tools at which that you have to do that diminish. So my viewpoint on that, and it's always been this way, is you work to get to the show, and then you take whatever tools that you have to work with and figure out how to get better. I would rather try to hit a Randy Johnson pitch with a broomstick than move down with a telephone pole and hit off some bum in Birmingham and make me feel good about myself. There's two ways to look at that. How do you see stuff like that?
Citywide to countryside. Whatever you drive, wherever you go, Hercules Tires has the value, selection, and industry-leading warranty to get you there, no matter where the road takes you. Go to HerculesTire.com. There you can find the nearest authorized Hercules retail location to you. Plus, you can use the tire tracker to find out which Hercules tire fits your vehicle the best. That's HerculesTire.com. Hercules Tires. Ride on our strength.
So the other part of when you're talking about your analogy and the size of your bat is
don't talk about the size of my bat. My bat works just fine.
Hey, I hear you, buddy. That's what you do with it, I guess.
You said it.
Yeah. So
That's it.
the there's just a lot of variables in racing, right? And I actually had this conversation with somebody the other day where what John Hunter did the first 15 or 18 races or 20 races, if we were representing him, I was like, man, that'd be pocket aces. I mean, you're just like, you're totally out kicking your coverage. You're totally.
Yep. He's young.
It's
got the look.
That's right. And so I think John Hunter is a really, really good race car driver. And I would have, on the surface, right? You're like looking around and you're just like, okay. We talked about the 48, right? You're talking about, I mean, I don't know what else was open, that wasn't already kind of spoken for, right? Because you can't really say the 20 was open, right?
Yeah.
So you're like,
they have their depth chart.
Yeah. So you're like, okay, man, well, was it, and again, not knowing them and not really knowing what they were going through, but you're like, man, I would have felt really good about my hand. And even if I was staying at the 34 or the 38 for another year, I'd been like, man, that's not a bad spot. What Bob and Jerry do over there is great. But nobody's really expecting them.
Expectations are low.
Just like you're just saying, like with us, right? It's just like if you come to us and we're out running the 34, the 38, and all these other guys, JTG, you're just like, hey, Joy the Joy's the shit. Right. Yeah. And I think for the first 20 races, that's what I thought. Now, the thing, again, I don't know the financials behind it either, right? It might be one of those things where, maybe the sponsor money dried up a little bit, right? Yeah. Or he didn't have enough.
Right.
And the other part of this also is you make a choice where you're like, okay, well, do I go down? Right? It's like, if I was representing you and you had come and said, hey, I'm going to go. And actually, I think we did talk about this.
I'm going to go drive for Junior.
I'm going to go drive for JRM, or I'm going to go run Kyle's truck, or I'm going to go do something like that. It'd be like, well, you better go undefeated.
Yeah.
Because you're Corey LaJoy. Right? And that's what I'd be saying. If we represented John Hunter, I'd say,
you better win a lot.
You better win every race. Because you're in the 34 or the 38. I'm sorry
38.
that I don't know which one it was.
38.
The 38. He was. That
running good.
Yeah. So you can't be a 15th place, 20th place Cup guy
and run fourth in trucks.
Right? And or you're going to be making a lot of people's careers because if those kids are out running them, then guess what?
Zane Smith looks like a hero.
Right? And so that's the now again, if you go in there and be like, hey, if I do this, I might get the 20, or if I might get this, I get whatever. Hey, I don't know, but it's a I'm with you. I would stay once you're there in the show. Stay in the show.
Figure out how to stay.
Yeah, just figure out how to stay. But that's a really good question because it's hard, right? And again, I don't know the financial implications either. But
there's a lot of layers to that onion,
yeah.
right? And the things that John Hunter does have going for him, he's talented, he's fast, and he's young. He's only 23, right? So if he looked at it as a play to get in the Toyota depth chart or the Toyota chain to take advantage of a 23 XI second car or something, right? Then it might be a good play for him. Me being 29, probably not the same hand to try to play that. So
yeah, but Toyota's got Gio Scelzi's coming, right? I mean there's
Jesse Love's young kid.
Yeah, I mean it's just a hard thing. It's like there's no guarantees, and it's the hardest part I think for kids isn't just it's getting to Cup is the hardest part.
Yes.
It's not. You know what I mean? Like, there's plenty of kids. I don't mean to say it exactly like this, but I mean, there's plenty of dads that'll can write Xfinity checks. There's plenty of dads that can write truck checks. There's not a lot of dads that are writing Cup checks, right? And that's the thing. The hardest part is getting to Cup. And I thought, that's the challenge. And if I was, if and you and I had the conversation too, right? But
I'm
it's
gonna
like,
use another analogy. I don't want to cut you off.
please,
I
need to be cut off.
when I was when I was running part time in Xfinity, not for a 15th place team or so, and I'd have a decent run here, 5th at Dover, whatever, good run at Bristol. You just never get recognized because you got to win,
Mm-hmm.
right? You look at a guy like Chase Briscoe, Austin Cindric, like those guys are both those guys are going to cup race, and Austin in a little bit lower fashion until 22. But when I was trying to break in, if you will, I always looked at the Cup Series as like the mansion on the hill, right? Once you get in the door, then you can kind of like finagle to. There's a bunch of different rooms. Look at a guy like Newman, right? He's been for a bunch of different places, but he's in the house. He ain't going nowhere. And you can more or less choose to leave the house unless you get pushed out anytime you want. But getting through the front door is the hardest part. So,
Look, I got something for you. Can I cut you off for a second?
yes, please.
Here's the biggest
You don't
challenge.
like my analogies.
No, I do
can
like
tell.
your. Well,
I'll work.
if you were
on it.
like, hey, it's getting through the house, and then I can figure out where I'm putting the couch, right? But
Yeah.
Here's the challenge for young drivers now, and here's what's unlucky for you. And I brought up Clausen earlier. What's unlucky for you guys is when you guys ran Xfinity and trucks and everything like that.
There
Like
was 12 Cup guys.
those were real fields.
Yeah.
Okay. And you brought up Chase and Austin, right? And that's kind of what.
At what
John-
bar? At what bar do you measure with?
Well, that's right, and that's kind of what John Hunter's. And again, there's a bar, right? You're saying it, and it's like he can exceed that, right? But it's does he have to go undefeated? No, but you see Chase and you see Austin, and they're winning 8, 9,
Half the race.
half the races, and I would say that I there's team owners that I speak with that say, well, they better.
Yeah.
They're in Cup stuff. They're in with Cup teams. They should.
Yeah.
Whether that's fair or not, that's left to. All it takes is one owner to be like, hey, you're the man.
Yeah.
Right. But that's the challenge. That's John Hunter's problem. Where back in the day, when if there was a young driver that was running 8th in the Busch Series,
Yeah.
that kid is going to make it because 1 through 7 was Harvick, Kyle, Kenseth.
Yeah.
Go down the list, right? Edwards, right.
Yeah.
And because, again, the races on Saturday were as intense as the races on Sunday.
Mm-hmm.
Now the challenge is, and again, I understand why NASCAR did it, and I could support it. But, it's just hard. You don't know how to measure those kids because they're racing against kids. And, there's something I had said to Kyle Busch several years ago when there was all this outcry of, he would come down and he'd just kick everybody's butt. It's, you don't know how many careers got launched.
Yeah.
Because Kyle Busch came and ran Eric Jones.
Yeah.
You don't know how many careers got launched because Kyle Busch wanted to run a truck race.
Yeah.
25 times.
Or a late model race.
Or a late model race,
Yeah.
right? And it's just like, this Cup guy shows up. It's like, but that's what team owners and team principals and idiots like me, that's what we need to see. It's not
right.
2 kids bouncing off each other for 9th.
For example, right? You see a kid, insert name here, run second or run wheel to wheel with Chase Elliott at the Snowball Derby this weekend. That's what puts him on the radar.
That's right.
Whether he runs a Busch car or K&N car, or whatever, like you're going to pay attention to him because he was racing against the Cup champion.
Well, look, that's where you have to, right? Because remember, I mean, I'm old enough, obviously, with my reading glasses to remember, Speed Sport, you used to get your Speed Sports and you used to get, now you obviously go online and see that. It's, I don't think Chip would be upset if I used his name here, right? It's like, I don't think Chip Ganassi's watching the Snowball Derby, right? Chip Ganassi might see a rundown that shows Chase Elliott 1 and
Jake Fincher.
Right, running second. And then he'd be like, you know what, man? Who the hell is this kid?
Yeah.
Let's get, that's the thing I think we're losing. And that's why it's so hard. That's why, you're going to see these kids pop up or maybe they're getting the Xfinity Series. And I'm more worried about the kids fizzling out now than I ever was back in the day because,
it costs so much to stay here.
Yeah. And, you talked about Finch, and Finch had this great line. He was like, Truck Series is here, right? Xfinity Series is here, and Cup is here. Like the wall to scale into that Cup garage may as well be,
infinite
because it's just hard, and it's hard, and Sundays are still hard, and but that's the challenge when you're talking about somebody like John Hunter. It's just like, look, and I love gambles, and you go all in. So I mean, he's all in.
No different than you guys owning a race team.
For sure.
No different than I am. Here we are.
Yeah.
Chips on the table.
Yep. Gotta make it go now. There's nothing left to
put her on the black 7, guys.
Yeah.
Let her roll.
And look, and I do think John Hunter's a really good driver, right? And like when we're talking about like with you, it's it only takes one owner, right? It takes one owner to be like that's the guy. And I think with TJ and we always were just like, a lot of guys say, well, if I just owned a race team, what would I do? If I owned I would do this, and I'd have Craig back here, and what I mean, like I would do, I'd have Sling Blade as a truck driver, you know what I mean, like, and so,
yeah,
it's like
I'd be cooking lobsters every weekend.
That's right. I can't wait to work the grill whenever we can do that again in the garage, right? So, but that's the thing. It's just like I think with you, it's like I think that's why you own a team. You own a team because you're like, hey, you want to do it with people that you enjoy doing it with and people you believe in, and that's where. With whether it's a system that John Hunter's doing there, and we don't need to make it the John Hunter hour here, but it is a really good that thing was for the sport, right?
Right.
Yeah.
That was like do you take this path and bet on yourself, or do you do everything you can to stay on Sundays? And some people choose that one. I've continued to choose the latter and stay on Sundays because there's going to be way more days in 21 and 22 and beyond with the next gen car. That what used to be an 18th day at Martinsville for us is going to be a 6th place, 8th place day with just the lighter cars, more downforce, a little bit more motors, and just everybody working collectively together for a mission. And I think those days pay off. Instead of being 1 out of every 4, you start making them 1 out of every 3. So I guess that's one last point. What are some tangible things that you guys talk about internally with a team that gets you from where we're at with 3 employees to next gen car 2023 being possibly fringe level chase playoff team?
Well, the good news is, and probably in a week or 2, we'll probably have 30 employees. That's a good start.
It's gonna ramp up a little bit.
I think what the new car could do is give you opportunities as a driver or as a Cole Pern type of guy, right? You can go try to find that guy that can just kind of
wizard some stuff.
Yeah, just wizard it up.
Or
because
cheat.
I think it's gonna be harder to cheat. And if TJ was sitting next to me right here, I mean, like I think TJ is very adamant of make cheating so draconian that nobody wants to do. The penalties against it, like, you're not showing up. You're done. You're done for 3 weeks. Tell that to your sponsors, or tell that, you're not making the sorry, you're out of the playoffs. Right. Sorry. Right. And I think that's what NASCAR, if you're listening, I think you should make the penalties to cheat so harsh that they don't, right? So that there's a difference between
Chase Elliott starting last at Phoenix was not a big enough penalty for all the stuff they were getting. If they brought 10 things by, I'm not going to pick on Alan Gustafson, but if he brought 10 things by and got popped for 3, there's still a lot of stuff on that car that made that thing, I mean, obviously the fastest car at Phoenix, and they won the championship.
Alan is one of my first loves, and again, another guy that I wouldn't be here without, and he's a genius, and he's an absolute genius, and he brings every facet of it. I don't know if there's something what he did at Phoenix. I think there's something more obvious that was going on with the 19 at Texas. When you're showing, you're just coming with a spoiler, right? It's like the juice is worth the squeeze if you're going to try to pass a spoiler through.
Yeah.
So, but I think you got to make the penalties harsh enough where we're not bringing spoilers that are doing whatever they're doing.
You take the one they give you.
You take the one you
smile and you put it on the car.
Right. Certainly because you got a good team and you've got one of the best drivers, and you're good enough on your own.
Right.
But I think for us, I asked Alan this a couple weeks ago, and I was just like, who's 2005 you? You know what I mean? Like, who's that guy?
Was that Mark Martin, Alan? Who was that?
That was Kyle.
Okay.
That was that first group. We were all young and just couldn't wait to hit something and get hit.
And you were hauling ass when you were doing it.
Best times of our lives, right? We probably didn't know it at the time. But
were you spotting?
Yeah.
Okay.
And so they But like that's the thing is like you're it's like your late model team. I mean, I know there's always going to be an element of engineering, right? There's always going to be an element of big teams and information and data. I think what this would allow us to do is with a smaller group, you can outsmart people, you can outdrive people, one thing can make a difference more than maybe it is now, right?
Yep.
Where it's just hard now, and I think and the budgets are so hard, right? I said this the other day. It's like if we all wake up in 22 or 23 or 24 and the budgets are still 23 million or 20, it's like we're doing this wrong. That's not the gamble. So I think for us, it's a matter of we want to outsmart them. We want to shock them. And how do we get there? I don't know if this is good or bad. It's you, right? I mean, it's like,
oh boy,
yeah, it's you, and it's finding like a counterpart, that's on top of the box that is like you. I think me and TJ will always gamble on somebody that has to do this. You know what I mean? That, and you're talking about the have to, right? Like that's why we have to do this. This is what we are doing for the next 20 or 30 years. This has to work. We've already gambled everything else on it, and it wasn't good enough for me and TJ just to hit jackpot once. It's like no. We got to hit the 12-team parlay now.
I believe there's a hotline for that.
Right. I just heard it on the way in. It's different in Indiana. So but yeah, that's it's just not. I think that's going to be what sets us apart, right? I think we have to do it, man. We only have each other, and
no other choice.
There's no other. Yeah.
The only way out right now is through. I love that saying.
Yeah.
Because like they're not coming. There's nobody coming to help.
That's right.
It's us.
That's right.
And it's the guy.
Yeah, right. I mean, obviously we're gonna, for this year, right? I mean, it's like, look, we're Ganassi and
well, it might be Matt McCall every now and then. Hey, send some reinforcements.
Yeah, but yeah,
what right
sure.
front bump spring you got in there.
But we mean like, there's nobody coming to help. We mean, except you, Matt. We need your help. But
yes, please, Matt. But
yeah, and Canassa, if you're listening, you too.
It also it also makes you feel good to say, because like the people we got working, the people you guys have put in place to essentially build this deal, because you're almost removing yourself a little bit and moving the pawns and letting. I'm telling you guys, I wish I can say it, but we can't. There's a guy that's managing the deal that you guys are gonna ship, and the guy who we're gonna get the crew chief mine, which should know more this week, but can't tell y'all just yet. Think a lot about him, and I think he's the guy that we have a great relationship with already. So let's just leave it there. You got stuff to do.
I got more juice to drink.
You got half of that clean juice to drink. He's got a wheatgrass shot he's about to whip out of his pocket and be juiced up for the day. Man, a lot of fun today. A lot of fun stuff. Now we just look to fill 11 more weeks of content. We got some sponsor releases coming out probably within the next couple of weeks, so be on the lookout for some paint schemes. But for right now, there it is, guys. Spire Motorsport, number 7, 2021 and beyond.
Here we go.
Sunday money. Thank y'all.